Every single day, millions of people climb into a car and trust their life to a decision made by a soldier carrying a sword 2,000 years ago, and almost nobody realizes it. Why does America drive on the right side of the road while Britain drives on the left? The answer involves horse-drawn wagons the size of small houses, a furious grudge against French emperors, and a deliberate choice by American settlers to do the exact opposite of everything British. By the end of this video, you will understand why your steering wheel sits exactly where it does, and how an old rivalry from centuries ago still decides which side of the road you are on every single time you get behind the wheel. Long before cars existed, almost everyone on Earth walked or rode on the left side of the road, and the reason comes down to something incredibly simple. Most people are right-handed, and most people who carried weapons wore them on their left hip so they could draw with their right hand. If you were walking toward a stranger on a narrow path, you wanted your sword hand facing them, just in case. So people naturally drifted to the left, keeping their dominant hand ready and their enemy in clear view. Archaeologists have even found worn grooves in ancient roads near old quarries, showing traffic moving on the left for exactly this reason. That habit held strong for centuries, until something much bigger than a sword changed everything. That something was the wagon, and not just any wagon. Picture a massive freight wagon pulled by 4 or 6 horses, with no driver's seat at all. The person controlling it had to sit on the left rear horse, leaving their right hand free to crack a whip over the whole team. Here's the twist almost nobody mentions. Sitting on the left blocked the driver's view of the road on their own left side, so to avoid scraping wheels, drivers kept to the right where they could see oncoming traffic past the noses of their horses. If the idea of one wagon driver's seat quietly rewriting traffic laws across entire continents is the kind of hidden detail you enjoy, subscribing means you will not miss the next one of these. Now here is where things get political. In the late 1700s, France was a patchwork of regions, some driving on the left and some on the right, until a leader came along who hated anything that smelled of the old aristocracy. That leader was Napoleon, and he pushed right-hand driving across every territory his armies controlled, partly because his troops marched on the right, and partly because the left was seen as an old-fashioned upper-class habit. As his empire expanded, right-hand driving spread with it into Germany, Spain, and parts of what is now Poland. But Britain never fell to Napoleon, and Britain was not about to start copying the side of the road used by the country it had been fighting for years. So, where does America fit in? And here is the part most people never hear. American colonists were already using those same giant freight wagons, which meant right-hand driving was already creeping into everyday colonial life. But after independence, there was also a strong cultural push to separate from anything British, and travel customs were no exception. States began passing laws formalizing right-hand driving, with Pennsylvania doing so as early as the late 1700s. And others following over the next several decades. By the time cars arrived, right-hand driving was already locked in, not because of some grand national debate, but because of wagon seats and a desire to look nothing like the old colonial rulers. And here is the detail that sounds almost unbelievable until you check it. In the 1960s, Sweden made the entire country switch from driving on the left to the right in a single day. Every car, bus, and road sign across the whole nation changed overnight, with crews working through the night to flip signage before the morning rush. For one brief moment, an entire country proved that something as deeply ingrained as which side of the road you drive on is not some unchangeable law of nature. It is just a choice that everyone agreed to follow. So the next time you slide into a car without thinking twice about which side the steering wheel is on, remember, you are sitting inside a decision shaped by sword-fighting habits, oversized wagons, and a continent-wide grudge against an emperor who has been dead for 200 years. And once you start looking for these hidden fingerprints of the past, you realize the whole world is quietly full of them, waiting for someone curious enough to ask why. If uncovering the strange reasons behind the everyday things around you sounds like your kind of rabbit hole, subscribing is the simplest way to make sure you never miss the next one.